This time, I came to an outlet mall called the outlet Kitakyushu. It's a very popular outlet that attracts a lot of people on weekends. This place used to be home to an amusement park called Space World, which had a space theme. This amusement park's original operating company essentially went bankrupt, but the park made a comeback. However, it eventually closed down after losing out to Aeon. In this video, I'll introduce Space World, an amusement park in Kitakyushu City, Fukuoka Prefecture, that operated until 2017. So, I've arrived at Space World Station on the Japan Railway's Kagoshima main line. Although Space World has closed, the station name remains unchanged. If you ask me whether the station has an amusement park vibe, I don't really think so, but the brick town style is pretty stylish. In front of the station, it's just under an overpass, but the plaza allows it to hold many people. Now, here's where Space World Station is located. It's less than 15 minutes from around here. It's really close. It's about a 5-minute walk from the station, and this is the former main gate of Space World. Now, it looks like the back entrance of the outlet mall, but the main gate definitely used to be here. Now, on the former site of Space World, the outlet Kitakyushu opened in 2022. Since I visited on a weekday and it was raining, there weren't many people around, but on weekends, a lot of people come here. Whenever I come to film, it's always raining or cloudy. There are almost no sunny days. Maybe it's because I'm like a grim reaper, always visiting empty malls. Well, honestly, I'm just a guy who brings the rain. Built on a former amusement park site, this outlet is very spacious. With about 140 stores and no second floor, there aren't an overwhelming number of shops. However, in terms of site area, it boasts the second largest outlet in Japan. First, let's walk through the outlet and briefly explain the period from the opening of Space World to when the original operating company effectively went bankrupt. First, this place was Shin Nihon Seitetsu. It was once part of Nippon Steel's Yahata Steel Works. Around 1970, to boost capacity and modernize the aging Yahata Steelworks, a new plant was built nearby, and the original works gradually shut down. As a result, from around the 1980s, it became unused land, left abandoned and not utilized. Of course, it would be a waste to just leave it abandoned, so new ways to utilize the land were explored. Among those ideas, they aimed to open a theme park on this vast site. Universal Studios was considering expanding into Japan then. A once-in-a-lifetime opportunity had arrived, Shin Nihon Seitetsu. Including Yahata, we selected several available sites as candidates for USJ and made our proposal. However, USJ opened in the Bay Area of Osaka, which used to be a production base for heavy industries like Hitachi Zosen and Sumitomo Metal Industries. Shin Nihon Seitetsu's available land was not chosen. The reason is unknown. I think the decision was made based on a comprehensive perspective, considering things like rent and location environment. But maybe it's because Osaka has better access from all over Japan, and they could expect more tourists to visit. Shin Nihon Seitetsu, which failed on the land where USJ now stands. However, they couldn't give up on their dream of running a theme park. For some reason, they decided, let's run a theme park ourselves. And so they chose space as their theme. In 1990, they opened the theme park, Space World, spending 38 billion yen. Shin Nihon Seitetsu owned the land, while its subsidiary, Space World Committee Limited, operated the park. By the way, it was about half the size of USJ. It drew attention before opening and quickly became one of Kyushu's top amusement parks due to high visitor numbers. Space World's symbol was a life-size space shuttle model. There were also classic amusement park attractions like a Ferris wheel and roller coasters. What made it unique among amusement parks was its role in science education, inspiring visitors to learn about space and exploration. One of the most notable examples was something called Space Camp. It seems there was a program where you could experience astronaut training and similar activities. As a fan of hands-on attractions and immersive experiences, I'm very interested in this. Thank you very much. When the park first opened, Space World Station didn't exist. The station opened in 1999, which was actually 9 years later. Previously, the closest station was Edomitsu Station. Initially, it appears a pedestrian bridge connected Edomitsu Station to Space World. The entrance is pretty far from here. It takes about 15 minutes to walk. There was once a pedestrian bridge, but now there's no sign of it. Space World had 2.16 million visitors in 1997, but attendance declined afterward. Even after opening, they invested by adding new attractions and more. Generally, there are said to be two main reasons. The first is the accident that happened in 1998. It was installed on a tower called Atlas Tower. The cable on the attraction carrying the cart snapped, causing it to fall about 38 meters and injure 12 people. The cable reportedly snapped from aging, raising maintenance concerns. So it's only natural to wonder if the other attractions are safe too, right? First of all, the decline in image caused by this is one of the factors. Earlier, I mentioned the one in Osaka. At the amusement park Expo Land, a fatal accident occurred due to lack of maintenance, and the number of visitors drastically decreased. It couldn't recover and had to close. I discussed that case. Many people go there for fun, so a tragic amusement park accident has a big impact. Another reason is declining nationwide demand for amusement parks. After the bubble burst, many amusement parks were forced to close. It's just the way times change, so if you say it can't be helped, I guess that's true. Besides those two reasons, I personally think Shin Nihon Seitetsu lacked the expertise to run an amusement park, which may have been their limit. Running an amusement park is generally considered difficult. If you don't keep providing new topics, people will forget about you, and often people think that going once is enough. It's the entertainment industry, so adding a supermarket will attract people for now. It's not like a commercial facility. No matter how many new attractions you add, if they're not appealing, no one will talk about them. Ultimately, visitor numbers kept dropping, and by 2004, the total reached 35.1 billion yen. They ended up incurring losses. And then Space World Comer Li applied for the Civil Rehabilitation Law the following year, in 2005. The Civil Rehabilitation Law assists financially distressed companies. This law lets companies or individuals restructure debts and try to rebuild their business under court supervision. So in effect, it's bankruptcy.株式会社光サプライズand Shin Nihon Seitetsu will stop operating it. Shin Nihon Seitetsu still owns the land. However, the operation of the amusement park was taken over by the resort management company Komori Kinku. Komori Kinku is a well-known resort management company and still operates many facilities. For example, Rusutsu Resort in Hokkaido and Himeji in Hyogo, Central Park, Aizu Animal Kingdom in Shizuoka, and more. By the way, renting a large amusement park costs about 10 million yen. They got it for a bargain, so they wanted someone to rebuild it. Maybe it was also because of Shin Nihon Seitetsu's intentions, but the rent was also cheap. Since Shin Nihon Seitetsu covered the 35.1 billion yen lost, Komori Kinku paid nothing. I just want you to remember that Komori Kinku took over under unbelievably favorable conditions. So to sum up, Space World Comer Ltd went bankrupt and Komori Kinku took over the operations. Next to the outlet is Aeon Mall Yahata Higashi. Aeon Mall Yahata Higashi opened in 2006 and still has that distinct 2000s Aeon mall vibe, even if most people might not notice. For lunch, I didn't have anything particularly Fukuoka-like, but I ate udon at the food court inside Aeon Mall. This place is also part of the former land owned by Yahata Steelworks, and it was temporarily used as a venue for lifestyle exhibitions and local expos, but it opened as a result of the Yahata Higashida Comprehensive Development Redevelopment Project. The landowner here is also still Nippon Steel. Aeon leases the land and operates the Aeon Mall. That's the situation. The operation shifted to Komori Kenko in the second half. Let's briefly review everything leading up to Space World's closure. Komori Kenko acquired Space World under unique circumstances and maintained the site after it closed. As a resort management company, they also have amusement park expertise. First, they introduced new attractions. The main highlight after the reconstruction was a coaster called the Tan. Its top speed of 130 kilometers per hour and other features made it very attractive and popular, like those typically found in amusement parks, because a lot of attractions like those were introduced. By the late 1990s, it had basically turned into just an amusement park, and the sense of space gradually faded away. After Komori Kenko took over the management, it apparently became even more like a regular amusement park. In addition, they restructured employees and unpopular facilities, significantly lowered the price of annual free passes, opened things like pools, and collaborated with Conan, Gundam, Sadako, and others, shifting their management policy to focus more on the local community. In 2016, it essentially ended due to an operator called the Ice Aquarium. They bought 5,000 fish, embedded them in the surface of the skating rink, and held an event where people could skate over the fish. This drew a lot of criticism online, but that's just how they are. They constantly created new events to keep people interested and returning, putting in significant effort. Visitor numbers recovered steadily, and after new management, the park became profitable in 4 years. It seemed things would keep improving. But then it happened all of a sudden. At the end of 2016, Komori Kenko announced that Space World would close at the end of 2017. It was initially believed the closure was due to fewer visitors from a declining population, more entertainment options, and competition with Huish 10 Bosch, leading to deficits. But that wasn't the case. It appears Space World intended to operate much longer. Space World was run by Komori Kenko, while Shin Nihon Seitetsu owned the land. Despite Space World's success, Shin Nihon Seitetsu was dissatisfied. Komori Kenko was only leasing the land, operating the business while paying rent. Well, but as I explained earlier, the rent was very cheap. Space World. The closure is said to have been caused by unsuccessful negotiations to renew the lease agreement between the landowner, Shin Nihon Steel, and the operator, Komori Kenko. In fact, Komori Kenko has commented that they are not closing the park due to operating at a loss. At the time of the contract renewal, I think they proposed a significant rent increase, even though they had been renting it out at a very low price until then. By significant, I mean it was too cheap before, so the increase seems reasonable. Still. You've been enjoying the benefits of low rent until now, haven't you? It felt like they were saying, that's not going to happen anymore from now on. The park was closed because Komori Kenko couldn't accept such a proposal. And on New Year's Eve in 2017, after the countdown event ended, Space World closed its doors. They ended with a New Year's event and then closed. That's a cool way to finish. After that, some of the attractions were relocated to other amusement parks, but it was a symbol of the park. The model of the space shuttle couldn't find a new owner and was dismantled. The site was cleared and became an empty lot after a while. In the meantime, Nippon Steel began searching for a new business operator who could make use of the land. And yes, they gave Aeon Mall the preferential negotiation rights. It was pretty much already decided. After that, of course, Aeon Mall was chosen as the business operator, and that's how the outlet Kitakyushu opened. Some of you may already know this, but the outlet is an outlet mall operated by Aeon Mall. From Aeon Mall's perspective, they can expect a synergistic effect with the neighboring Aeon Mall, Yahatahagashi. And from Nippon Steel's side, they can get rid of Space World, which was paying too little rent, and receive appropriate rent from Aeon Mall. Even if the rent went up, they had been in the black until now, so it should have been fine. I think people might be wondering why Komori Kako gave up on renewing the lease agreement. As you said, if Komoriko had the ability to pay the appropriate rent, Space World could have continued operating. But to be honest, they simply didn't have that ability. Space World profited because Nippon Steel rented the land cheaply. If they had paid full rent, they might have operated at a loss. Not everything was unlucky for Komorinko's side. Some of the attractions used at Space World were dismantled. Some were relocated to other amusement parks operated by the company, and some were even sold overseas. I think it must have cost a huge amount of money to clear the land, but at first they got the amusement park at a bargain price, made a profit thanks to the low rent, and even sold the attractions. So, in the end, I think they actually made a pretty good profit. So that's all up to Aeon. It seems like there might be some deeper issues, but it's not good to speculate too much, so I'll leave it at that. Now, even though it's been less than 10 years since Space World closed as of the time this video is released, there are hardly any remnants left. First, there's the elevator in front of what used to be the main gate of Space World. The silver elevator looks space-like. Look closely and you'll see aliens drawn on it. It's so cute. I thought maybe the aliens would guide you inside the elevator, so I tried riding it, but nothing like that happened. There's also a restroom a bit farther away. It's a World Heritage Site near the old main office of Yahata Steelworks. There are cute aliens drawn here too. And the newly opened facility inside the outlet is the Kitakyushu Science Museum, named Space Lab. Thanks to this facility, even though the station name still has Space World in it, it doesn't feel too out of place. I couldn't visit because of time constraints, but it seems you can enjoy it, including a planetarium. Because it was raining, there was some free time during filming, so I regret not going. These are the remnants I was able to find. If you know of any others, please let me know. By the way, Shin Nihon Seitetsu has changed its name to Shin Nitetsu Sumikin and then to Nippon Steel. But in the video, for clarity, I'm using Shin Nihon Seitetsu throughout for consistency. This may seem odd to some, so please understand. In this video, I mainly focused on how Space World ended up closing down. On the other hand, I only briefly introduced what kind of amusement park it was, but it was loved by many people. It seems that it was an amusement park loved by many, and the final New Year's Eve event was held on a grand scale, attracting a lot of visitors. So, if you're interested, please look it up. That's all for this video. See you in the next one.